our topic is in direct order with what we are showing today, which is conquest through deception. An effective conquest takes place when physical appropriation, that is taking of something for one's else use without the permission of the owners. And we're talking about things like territories. It's also called annexation, which then is followed by subjugation, meaning the legal process of transferring title. This is again a description by Google on what conquest is, and we are under that conquest. Erufai has told us that. He validated that they are, finally meeting the goal of their grandfather, their Usman Dan Fodio assertion so many years ago. The Nigerian public has been told severally by the Nigerian Indigenous Nationalities Alliance for Self-Determination, NINAS, not NINAS, NINAS, that what they call their country has been hijacked by some foreigners and non-indigens who did not only take our lands and our resources, they imprisoned all of us. As if that's not bad enough, they are now killing us and at the verge of completely displacing the original inhabitants and renaming these ancient territories to hand over or cover up their crime. This explains why the managers of this stolen estate called Nigeria do not treat Nigerians like citizens, but like slaves with no rights. Therefore, they do not involve them in any decision-making, especially when it comes to matters of serious concern. So today, our goal is to expose to you guys the details of our liberation and empowerment against those who have vowed to make our lives miserable. We are asking the indigenous peoples to wake up. These things are not too hard. Our God has gone ahead of us, 23 years ahead of us, as if he knew that we'll arrive at a time like this, in a situation like this. He has already begun the work. What he's waiting for you guys is to key in, understand what you're being told to do, and these things will come to an end. There is no need for us to continue to suffer. There is no need for us to continue to run in circle. There is no need for us to continue to empower their business partners, no matter who they are, whether they come in the name of churches, Islam, whatever they may be. They come into motivational speakers, because I heard a lot of them that used to own church now have realized, oh, if you're not using the Bible, now you can go and motivate people and tell them they can become who they are not. And we know that these are the tools that they are using to distract you from what the actual issues are. So I'm going to play the theme video for today, and our lawyer will explain this to you. Welcome, our brother Ogumbo. Don't worry about me. I don't say anybody's name right.
Your name is not intentional.
We appreciate you, okay? And if you massacre mine, I won't be offended either, because I didn't do a good job. So welcome to the program. I'm going to pull up the first video. Please continue to help us to share.
Yes, please.
Let's wake up. We are in this together. We are fighting for a future for our children.
Yes.
It's not fair that we are giving birth and we are not doing anything and living. And these children are not even as strong as we are. If any of these things that we are facing come to us, and they will just hand up and say, just, enslave me, do whatever you need to do. Yes. So for those of us that still have sense, let's wake up and do the right thing.
Yes, we come to you today with an extraordinary alert. A few days ago, this is June 2023, a few days ago, this fellow that was governor in Kaduna, what's his name again, Nasir El-Rufai, was caught on video addressing some Muslim clerics. And then he was telling them about the victory they have now achieved over the rest of Nigeria, that will now be an Islamic, state, some kind of that they has done it in Kaduna. They've now replicated it at the center. And by the time everybody does their first 8 years and another 8 years, that they have taken over. Well, for those who do not understand what game is being played, Ninas will explain it to you now. El-Rufai was talking about Islam because he wants to deceive you who do not know. What he was celebrating with his confederates is basically the success of the conquest agenda of the Fulani, that the Fulani now own Nigeria, and that nothing anybody can do. That was why he probably did not plan to make it something everybody should hear. But in these days of technology, somebody recorded him, and the whole world now knows. That is a confirmation of the suspicion, our charge, which has been in the realm of allegation, conjecture in the minds of those who have not paid sufficient attention. But we who have gone to research how we came about this union of death, this union of master and servant, this constitution of slave and slave master, unitary constitution of Nigeria. We have traced the emergence of that unitary constitution, that constitution of master and servant, that constitution that makes Nigeria the exclusive possession, the exclusive property of the Fulani. We traced it back to 1960. The battle script of Ahmadu Bello, the mission statement of Ahmadu Bello in October 1960. While the rest of Nigeria was drinking champagne for what was labeled independence, Ahmadu Bello was celebrating something entirely different with his lieutenants. And he told them that the new nation called Nigeria should be an estate of our great-grandfather Uthman Danfodio. We must ruthlessly prevent a change of power. We use the minorities of the North as willing tools and the South as a conquered territory, and never allow them to rule over us and never allow them to have control over their future. This was reported in Parrot newspaper of 12th October 1960. Now, this battle script by Ahmadu Bello brings us to two things. We go to the map of Nigeria. The MNN was the precursor to Ninas. The map of Nigeria that puts Nigeria in the four compartments of its natural fault lines. The upper part that is the Sharia belt in green. The purple you see is the middle belt, and that middle belt includes southern Kaduna, southern Borno, and all the Christian fringes of those 12 states that went to do Sharia in year 2000 simultaneously. So let's be clear that that middle belt does not respect the southern boundaries of those 12 states. The Christian communities from Chibok all the way to Zuru in Kebbi, from the east to west of the line is drawn by the reality of who is on ground, not what Nigeria did by decree. And so you come down south, you see the blue block is the Yoruba that includes Yoruba of Kwara, Yoruba of Kogi, and part of Edo if they may go to plebiscite to determine. And then the balance of what you have is the lower Niger, that's the former eastern region and the former midwestern region together. But even as it is brown on as you see, there's a map that delineates the ethnic constitution of that Lower Niger, that's eastern half of southern Nigeria. So we're trying to bring you to see what Ahmadu Bello was talking about in that battle script. So you have seen this map now. That's the first thing that comes. So you begin to imagine the processes in keeping with that instruction, that mission statement, that vision of the Ahmadu Bello. The ruthlessness you saw in that battle script was what attended to the quarrel with Eastern Nigeria between 1966 and 1970. Those nearly over 3.5 million, by Gowon's account, he said they had to kill 5 million people to preserve Nigeria. That was Gowon's figure. We say no less than 3.5 million got killed, of which no less than 2 million were children who were deliberately starved to death. You saw the video from Red Cross just the other day. And so it was that ruthlessness that Ahmadu Bello dictated in that battle script of 1960 that attended to that what should have been a civil war. But General Philip Effiong's son just released a book in which he said, a book entitled An Uncivil War. The war was not any kind of civil war. It was a war between countries. You say there was a country called Biafra at the time, which was the eastern region that had to pull away when genocide was launched against it, and the rest of Nigeria. Of course, there are renegades in the coastal side of eastern Nigeria that eventually went with them. Anyway, we come back to the question of ruthlessly preventing a change of power. Kill whoever you have to kill. Seize all their assets. Don't ever let them recover. Don't stop. That's what that means. You come down to the using the willing tools of the North, the minorities of the North as willing tools. Back to our map. Look at the people that did the killings on behalf of that caliphate. You see Gowon, you see Danjuma, you see Jeremiah Husseini, you see David Mark, and the whole number of them. On that map, 80% of the killings that had to be done, they presided over it. And that's how they could come to the victory charter. At the close of proceedings in 1970, everybody had been beaten down. Oh yes, let's kill the Igbo and their neighbors. And so the victory charter from that war was what became constitution between 1975 and 1979. Now look at who processed that constitution for them. Yes, Murtala Mohammed commissioned it, Kano. But he died in February of 1976, and so his second in command, Olusegun Obasanjo, took charge and then executed what would become the permanence. The Ahmadu Bello meant that this situation in which the Fulani will prevail and own Nigeria must be permanent. So the constitution, the unitary constitution that was imposed as victory charter from that war of 67 to 70, the so-called Biafran War, is the mechanism by which the victory was made permanent. So their victory was codified, and it was a member of the slave South, a member of the conquered territory, because if you are conquered, you are a slave. So Obasanjo essentially was the head slave who had to do for the master what the master wanted. And so Obasanjo presided over the processing of that victory charter into constitution that became 1979 constitution. And it was the same Obasanjo that caliphate found to bring her from prison in 1999 to reinforce and reinstate that 1979 constitution. That is where we are. It is that victory of having that Ahmadu Bello's vision transformed into reality, imposed. All our assets are gone. The oil and gas of Niger Delta is taken by that constitution. The ports of Lagos, the ports of Port Harcourt, taken by that constitution. The bitumen of Ondo, taken by that constitution. The limestone of Benue, for which Dangote has become richest, Africa's richest man, taken by that constitution. The right to build your infrastructure, railway, road, everything, taken by that constitution. All the institutions, all the armed forces today, controlled by those same set of people. And so, what El-Rufai, in case you did not understand, I want you to understand that El-Rufai is saying to all of us that that vision of Ahmadu Bello that had been, operationalized by way of the constitution that codifies their stranglehold, their victory over all of us, has now been completed. And the ethnic cleansing we see, the Fulani invasion that is going on, is happening within the context of that conquest that has now to be finalized by the elimination of the future claims. The ethnic cleansing, the killings happening in southern Kaduna, killings happening in Plateau, killings happening in Nasarawa. Benue is coming to Port Harcourt. It will sweep eastern Nigeria. It's not going to leave Yoruba out. If anybody is stupid enough to think that Yoruba will be treated differently, sorry for you.
Terrible.
You can ask about Afonja and what happened to Ilorin. They're not going to leave anybody. So El-Rufai is telling us in triumphant arrogance, he is now boasting that they have conquered and they're going to just take it. What can any of you do? The reason he's able to do that is that constitution that is the victory, the codification of their victory is still prevailing. The only reason that constitution is still prevailing is that all of you are going to election every 4 years, pretending to be doing a democracy on the basis of a constitution of master and servant that puts you as servant, that take your assets, that put all the guns in the hands of those who took your assets to order you around, those who control the electoral machinery, because that constitution has 68 items on the exclusive list. Everything on that list is controlled by Fulani. Whether it's arms and ammunition or elections, everything on that list, your economic assets, refinery, that's why Dangote is given monopoly. Having hijacked all of what belongs to all of us, they are now giving it out to themselves as concessions. And we're here clapping and cheering that we are growing our democracy, deepening our democracy. And so, what are we to do with all this information?